A significantly important development has now taken place. In the larger rubric of things, it is one solitary case, but it is indicative of a major international malaise that now needs to be addressed. Scarcely 2 weeks ago, 3 individuals were convicted after being found guilty of attacking a person in New Zealand who was a Sikh, who was a radio presenter, and who was against the virulence of those organizations and individuals seeking, in the name of Khalistan, to present an antithesis to the sovereignty of India. A radio presenter in faraway New Zealand, himself a Sikh, stands against these foreign funded and foreign housed and foreign headquartered Khalistanis, because we know right now you can travel through the length and breadth of Punjab and find no such preponderance of these groups. But in far away New Zealand, this man was stabbed and stabbed and stabbed, barely escaped with his life, and 3 people were convicted. We already know the entire rubric of the international games that are now happening out of Canada, out of the US, and now in the case of the UK. Have a look at this individual now on the extreme right of your screens, who has now gone missing. We don't know the reason. We don't know what's happened, but we need to find out. And the urgency with which we need to find out should be reflected in the fact that there should be deep suspicion about Indians who are now being targeted, attacked, or are mysteriously disappearing on foreign shores, with those governments, their police departments, in this case the London Metropolitan Police, being clueless as to their investigations, as to what is taking place. It's a more than a serious matter, and that more than a serious matter requires more than a serious conversation. Let me open up the one that we're about to have over here. Joining us now on the broadcast is Major General Ashwini Sivach, Professor Madhav Nalapad, the Editorial Director of the Sunday Guardian, Group Captain UK Devnath, and Manjinder Singh Sirsa of the Bharatiya Janata Party, all joining us very shortly. Let me start with General Sivach. General Sivach, now there is a chance that this is an isolated case. There is a chance that there is a backstory that we don't yet have full details on. But as we see these cases multiply across the globe and form a de facto pattern, we now need to be deeply concerned how foreign governments and how foreign police agencies are responding to investigations regarding attacks on the Indian diaspora in their jurisdictions. What should we be doing about this specific case? As you've been told, as you are aware, sir, attempts are on to now escalate this through the Ministry of External Affairs.
Very correct. Rishabh, there is no doubt this student who was G.S. Bhatia, who has been missing from London from 15 December, automatically the suspicion is there that he may have been kidnapped by certain antisocial element. All said and done, once this cause of incident had taken place, Indian government now at a diplomatic and at a government level must take up the case with the UK government and try to trace this. Who are the people who has kidnapped him, or how is he missing? Now, as on today, only knowledge which we have is that he is missing from 15th December and his whereabouts are not known. Whether he has been kidnapped or where has he gone, that is not known. But certainly one thing is very clear. What is happening all around world, especially what's happening in US, UK and Canada, where you find these Khalistan activities are increasing. The maximum taking place in Canada, where you find openly they are coming and they are threatening people who are basically voicing their concern about this terrorist activity, especially the Sikh community there itself, because majority of these people are involved in activities which are being funded by their government of the day. Like if you see in Canada, Justin Trudeau government is in crutches, and
Okay.
this has taken a support of a new Democratic Party of Gurmeet Singh, which is basically a Sikh terrorist who is a sympathizer of Khalistan activity.
Okay.
So same way it is taking place in US also. You find now Panoon, Gurpran Singh Panoon openly giving the threat and to the Indian government that
Okay.
he will take some action against the parliament of the country. How can you allow such activity?
Okay. So there
He's
is
a
indeed,
Canadian
so you
citizen.
concur that there is indeed a larger rubric. Each case, of course, is an individual case, but there is a larger rubric which we cannot ignore. And what we cannot ignore is how foreign police organizations are now responding to these cases. Manjinder Singh Sirsa joining us on the broadcast. He has very vocally picked up this issue. Sirsa ji, thanks very much for joining us on NewsX. What is the information you have about where this boy was last seen, as you mentioned, near Canary Wharf? So, what is the information you have? Have you been in touch with the family and with friends? What are they telling you?
So I'm in touch with family. Mother told that last when you spoke to them, he was at Canary Wharf, as well I've mentioned in my tweet also. So thereafter, they have no idea. They have been pursuing this case continuously with the concerned university also and with the local police also, but they are not getting any response. So they, yesterday late night, they informed me, and then I took up this issue. So the whole thing is that neither the local police is trying to help them locate this young guy, and neither the university is helping them out. So that's the reason we have requested our High Commission also and the Honourable Minister also to get involved in and get it sorted.
Sirsa ji, the London has the largest network of CCTV live monitored cameras in the world. Are we really considering that the Metropolitan Police cannot find this individual despite the fact that they have the CCTV at every single corner and they can track him? So basically what you are suggesting is they probably can find him, but they're choosing not to.
That's the point. That's the point, because they got such a big network, knowingly that they got maximum number of CCTVs in the world, but still this young gentleman is missing. This student is missing from last 2 days and from last so many days, and the local police is unable to locate him. They have no clue. Whenever the family try to talk to them, there is no response from their side, and same is with the university also. That is the biggest concern now. Why they are not taking this case as a serious?
So no, but there's a serious precedent, sir, because we are talking about just a couple of months ago when Mitkumar Patel went missing, and then his body was found in the river, and they just wrote it off. They said, nothing suspicious, nothing to worry about.
So this is the same place where this gentleman was also last seen or has spoken to his parents also. So that is the biggest concern and worry to his parents also.
Sirsa ji, if there was a British national जिनकी बॉडी यमुना या गंगा में मिलती, ठीक है, और महीने बाद एक और ब्रिटिश नेशनल had gone missing, you can just imagine this would have been from the House of Commons to the House of Lords, they would be piling pressure on India to get it done. How is it that the Metropolitan Police is not reacting to this, sir? Now, what are you appealing through the MEA?
So that's the point. Now, had it been a British national, this would have been the talk of the town, in fact, out of the world. Every news channel would have been carrying this. Kya hua ji, 2 Britishers or someone Britisher was missing. The one was killed at the same spot. The other one is also missing. So this would have been a biggest news, and the entire country would have been after that country. But when it comes to a Indian student is missing, when nobody is taking care of this, nobody is even concerned to speak to his parents, to speak to his family, or to tell them that what is exactly, where is he now? Have they gone through these CCTVs? What happened after watching the CCTV? So no, there is no answer to the questions. So that is the biggest concern. I requested the Honourable Minister also to kindly intervene, and the High Commission of London also, to get in touch with them and try to sort it out and try to find out where this gentleman is.
Okay, Manjinder Sirsa, for your efforts in helping out the family through your good offices and reaching out through us to people who are watching this telecast, it is inconceivably lackadaisical. Inconceivably lackadaisical. I can only propound then motivation to this. It's either incompetence or it's compounding, because it is not possible to believe that in Canary Wharf is not an isolated, it's right at the heart of some of the most important areas of London, packed with closed circuit, live monitored cameras, packed with AI recognizing technologies, that if they wanted to find this individual, they would have found him. They're choosing not to, either through out of apathy or something maliciously worse. Let me get Professor Nalapat into this. Professor Nalapat, now it could be a case where something has just gone wrong. Things can go wrong any part of the world. We understand that, we appreciate that, we don't know the details, but you have a very worried family. It's a Sikh boy, he's in London, he stepped out and he's disappeared. Now, how can the London Metropolitan Police be simply saying, well, can't do much about it?
Extremely insensitive of them, and not to mention unprofessional to have that kind of an attitude. The fact is that just before this boy disappeared, another boy was brutally murdered. And obviously the parents are quite concerned about the situation. Whenever a child disappears, it's a matter of concern. And it must be terrifying for the parents to imagine various scenarios. I'm really very shocked at the attitude of the Metropolitan Police. They seem to be, as Mr. Sirsa has correctly said, not at all bothered about this particular situation. And I'd like to point out that so many tens and hundreds of thousands of Indian students have flocked to the United Kingdom for studies. And I think they need to examine whether they're safe there or whether there are alternative destinations where they're treated with more respect, where the missing Indian student is regarded as a serious concern, rather than following on the heels of a brutal murder of another Indian student. I think it indicates very frankly, law and order seems to be breaking down to an extent in Britain. And you are getting targets, certain specific ethnic groups seem to be getting to be the targets of some other groups. And this kind of activity is going on. And I'm sorry, but the London Metropolitan Police has got a very shoddy record in such matters, extremely shoddy record. Where in the matter, for example, of terrorist activities against India, the Metropolitan Police, I won't call them enablers, but certainly they are completely, not bothered about the fact that certain groups are openly targeting India on British soil. So overall, I'd like to point out that I think what is happening in Britain is very unfortunate, and it is not going to be long before the recoil hits the British themselves, that the kind of dastardly elements who are trying to do this to other ethnic groups will finally turn against the British themselves.
Okay.
And then possibly they'll wake up.
No, I want to be careful in juxtaposing, so I'm not. The juxtaposition is otherwise blatantly obvious. You have a Sikh student who's gone missing at a time when large groups of militant Sikhs are being headquartered and succored by the UK establishment. All right? I've just told you, you've had an incident in New Zealand in scarcely the last 2 weeks where 3 people have been found culpable of guilty of stabbing 40 times a radio presenter who himself was a Sikh, but he stood against separatism, the breakup of India, and he was vocal about it. Now, I don't want to juxtapose, there could be something else, But surely, given the circumstances of the event, given the circumstances of the awareness of what is happening in London and in other parts of the world, this is a rather serious and compelling matter, and it begs me to ask Group Captain Devnath the very same question. Group Captain Devnath, if in November of last year, a British national's body had been recovered from the Yamuna River and the Delhi police simply gave a one-line statement that the death does not appear to be suspicious, chapter closed, and then in exactly the same region, a few weeks later, another British national had gone missing, what do you think would be happening in the House of Commons, the House of Lords, and the British press?
Rishabh, to start with, very unfortunate incident. I pray that all Indian students in London and other countries are safe because they have gone there to pursue the dreams of their parents. I am very sure that S. Jaishankar is in touch with his counterpart, and our External Affairs Ministry will definitely leave no stone unturned to convince their British counterparts to convince London police and maybe Scotland Yard also to find out exactly what is going wrong, because this is second or third such incident where a student from India is involved. Rishabh, I only hope that they quickly carry out a psychological profiling of all his friends, because it may have some inter-religious or sometimes some inter-group rivalry angle also. I am very sure that in decades ago there used to be rivalry between white supremacist gangs in London also. That thing had died down. I only hope that Khalistan angle is not there, that in many countries, Australia also has reported, New Zealand also has reported that there are clashes in Gurdwaras between pro-Khalistan and anti-Khalistan Sikhs in various parts of the world. I hope that it does not have an angle like that.
Group Captain Devnath, as a corollary, it is being reported to me now on a regular basis by people traveling, people I meet through professional accounts, friends and family, that in the US, in Canada, in the UK, there are gurdwaras, there are places of worship, there are places of Sikh communion that have so overwhelmingly been taken over by the Khalistani elements, filled with these Khalistani flags, filled with portraits of Bhindranwale and other terrorists, that it has become uncomfortable for anybody. And as you know, it's not just Sikhs who visit Gurdwaras, Hindus visit Gurdwaras also. It's become uncomfortable for people to visit them. And I'm using the word uncomfortable, maintaining a stiff upper lip. It's become uncomfortable for places to go. I can tell you for a fact, having eyewitnessed this, that in weddings that are taking place in London, in Sikh Gurdwaras, those who are being wed are being asked to pay homage, to pay respects to portraits of Bhindranwala before they can complete their vows, before they can complete their feras. Now, it's a matter that seems to be escaping the attention or the cognizant intelligence of the London Metropolitan Police. Why would you suspect that their intelligence is not up to this? Both the kind that of intelligence that is inside your head and the kind of intelligence you operate as a security force.
Rishabh, goes without saying that London police must do their homework correctly. Since I was part of this intelligence apparatus myself, in all countries, religious places are always kept under kind of soft surveillance. So I am very sure that London police must have their contacts in all places of worships, whether they are churches there, temples or mosques or gurdwaras. Invariably, the police keeps in contact with the Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee at all places, like we do in India also. And it is hoped that London also does not fall in this trap wherein Gurudwara Prabandhak committees are in the are themselves in the trap of very staunch pro-Khalistani elements.
No, it's called Gundagiri. They just take over. That's exactly what they did with the Golden Temple. Okay. They just took over. All right. And
True.
and by taking over the religious sites, you take over the places of religious congregation, okay, which are important to the local communities. And then where do those communities go? There are people who are dependent on those places, both for religious practice. There are people who are dependent on those places to receive their daily sustenance. These are very serious matters. And like I said, for some strange, unanswerable reason, these matters are escaping the intelligence of the British authorities, which is rather, can I use the word weird? For sure. General Sivach, now I mentioned that very recently, and by recently, I'm talking about exactly 2 weeks ago, there was the case in New Zealand, in Auckland, where an individual known as Harneek Singh, a Sikh himself, was stabbed 40 times. 40 times. And what was the issue? He was a radio jockey who was speaking against these Khalistani local elements. They came, they stabbed him 40 times. He barely survived after having received multiple surgeries and 350 stitches. There were 3 accused who were given about 10 years of imprisonment each. And the judge specially cited community protection necessary because of this highly unusual hate crime. Now, it's highly unusual now, but if you let it breed, it's going to happen. So, all these cases have to be looked at very carefully.
Absolutely. No doubt, Rishabh, all these cases have to be taken very seriously. Possibly New Zealand has still taken a very stern action, but UK is not taking stern action. Whether it is deliberately or by default, very rightly brought out that UK is a developed country. They have a surveillance system. They have their CCTV all around the London. They could not even track and trace whether they have will to do it or whether there is some other thing. We are unaware. But the point is, if a child is missing or the student is missing for 2 days, more than 2 days, and they are not able to track him.
Okay, so General Sivach, I'm trying to understand on a perceived allegation of a plot against an individual known as Pannu in the US, for the perceived allegation of a plot, I repeat, for the perceived allegation of a plot, I'm being told no less than the FBI chief is involved. At the highest levels, Interpol is being involved to save Pannu, to shield him, to guard him. All highest levels of operations are taking place, and I'm trying to be told that in Canary Wharf, they can't check their CCTV records. Rather strange, no?
Absolutely. See, there is no doubt about it. And once you are talking about Gurashman Singh Pannu, he is a Canadian and American citizen, openly threatening India, saying that he will attack on the parliament on 13th or earlier than that. And he has said that in case Air India flight are one where we are going to target, then 6 should not travel. No action has been taken by the US government. This is very strange. And they are the citizen of that country. They are not Indian citizen. So the point today is that are they serious enough, or there is something more to that, or he is a CIA agent? You see, one can't really say that why such a behavior, whether it is US or by Canada. Canada, one understands that Justin Trudeau is not that much powerful because he has taken a support of Jaishankar Singh party, New Democratic Party, which is supporting him politically, and he is known as a Khalistan sympathizer, and he is doing what the NDP is telling. But why the US is doing, and why the UK? UK, I say, Rishabh, we must put a tremendous pressure on UK government that why they are not able to track and trace.
Okay, so it's a very simple question. It's a very simple, straightforward thing. Professor Nalapat, so are we now saying that in certain countries in the world, if you are supporting and campaigning for referendums demanding the end of India's sovereign status as a unified country, you want the breakup of India, you want to blow up planes, you want to blow up World Cup matches, you want the dismemberment of the country, you want the country's PM to be assassinated, you want violence to take place against the country's diplomats, you want to celebrate the assassination of a country's former prime minister. If you do all these things, you are some sort of a person that the FBI chief, prime minister level, everybody is looking out for you. But if you're a young Sikh boy walking on the streets of London, they can't even check their CCTVs for the family which is obviously under distress right now.
Well, look, the fact of the matter is that we were talking about Gurdwaras earlier. And the fact is that many honest, hardworking Sikh families, and overwhelmingly, more than 95%, if not 99% of the Sikhs, even in the UK and other places, are honest, hardworking people, as are people of other communities. They give money to these Gurdwaras. And the point about getting control, often by brute force, is basically to get their hands on this money. And you're seeing in the case of Canada, how drug smuggling is intimately linked with elements who are supporting this kind of violent movement in India. It's a different matter that people in the Trudeau government themselves support this insurgency and therefore turn a blind eye to the drug addiction and the spread of drugs, including drugs in which the derivatives are sourced from a country that is the favorite of Trudeau, China. They're completely turning a blind eye to this. So the fact of the matter is that violence should not be tolerated anywhere. There's no question about it. And the fact that this kind of violence is not only being tolerated, it's being protected, it's been encouraged, is stupefying.
Okay.
And one is tempted to ask, we're talking about the Quad, we're talking about a security alliance to ensure the Indo-Pacific is safe. What kind of partners do we have if your own citizens, if your people of your own ethnicity are not safe in those countries, and more importantly, their governments are more concerned with shielding terrorists, drug smugglers, racketeers, and profiteers like that than they are in shielding
of a young kid,
India.
of a young Sikh kid who was walking on the street in Canary Wharf, who can't be found now for the better part of 3 days. Group Captain Devnath, how is it, sir, that in order to investigate a perceived allegation of a plot by somebody in Czechoslovakia against the potential life and liberty of Gurpant Singh Pannu, from prime ministers to FBI chiefs are flying all over the world, but to find this boy, they can't even check their CCTVs?
Yes, Rishabh, London police bobbies are supposed to be highly professional. I only hope that there is no racial angle to this.
I don't know, it could be anything. But the point is, an FBI chief can come to investigate one crime, alleged crime, but in another case, they say nothing much. The family has to appeal to the MEA to pressure the foreign secretary in a city with the maximum number of CCTV cameras in the world. Why? It smacks of something rather dubious going on, pernicious going on.
Oh yes, Rishabh, there is no doubt that there is certain amount of lethargy when it comes to investigating crimes against brown or black people. This kind of a police mindset exists in Canada, in USA, in UK, to some extent New Zealand and Australia also. But I am very sure that External Affairs Ministry, our embassies and High Commission there will take up the point very strongly. a certain amount of technical surveillance will be required. Where was his mobile phone? To whom did he talk?
But come on, sir, in this day and age, what are we smoking? I mean, these are all, press a button and it's available to you. You know, all these records are all available. You think MI5, MI6, Scotland Yard, the London Metropolitan Police can't figure this out in minutes if they wanted to? Okay? I mean, come on.
Oh, yes. So things are very easy to track. It needs a certain amount of political and
Political and diplomatic, why? Why the heck are we going to study? I've studied in England and I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I would never go there again. If I was out of university today and thinking of where to study, go study. Okay? Go to France. Go to Siampo. Go to Germany. Don't go to the UK. Don't send your kids there. They might go missing and nobody will bother to find them. It's a devastatingly disturbing development that is taking place. I am appalled that the family, that the university can't do anything, the police are not doing anything, that the family is having to call up Manjinder Sirsa to request him to call up the government, to call up the foreign secretary. Horrendous, and a horrendous state of affairs. And we have to now look at very seriously the state of affairs, because these are supposed to be friendly partner countries. I'm hoping the FBI chief and Five Eyes intelligence are now going to fly down to London to take as much interest in the missing persons case, and we don't know what's happened yet, of this boy as they have taken in all the other cases where they want to put India on the mat. That's fine. But when they take your money, put you in the universities, and then don't care two hoots about you because they've already taken your bill so that his university can subsidize British students, they're happy to take his money and his family's money. But when there's a problem, no two hoots given. We have to escalate this. It is shameful and opens the matter for very serious consideration. Stop going to the UK, especially if you are Sikh, because you are in trouble there, because they have created an environment which is hostile, where you might disappear, you might be found dead in a river, and nobody will do nothing. Unbelievably disturbing.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.